Hello everyone, welcome to a new video. It's the end of the month or the beginning of the new month or maybe some other time in the future when you're watching this. It's time for my monthly wrap up. August was not a great reading month for me. There's some vlog footage in here to help contextualize that a bit better, but it was kind of a tough month. There wasn't a lot of reading going on. It was both very busy and hit a slump. So I still read 7 books, so I still am inserting my reading wrap-ups of all of those. But this was the lowest amount of books I've read in a month this year so far, which is still a lot of books, so I'm really not that upset about it. But I am hoping that future months are going to be better. Not so sure about September yet. It's going to be really busy as well, but we'll see. Anyway, this was a tough one. None of the books I really loved, but there's definitely a few books that I really liked. Actually, I did love the first one that you're going to see here. Anyway, I'm just going to start rolling the clips. I started this format last month, and I think it's working really well. Where basically I'm vlogging my reaction to every book as I finish it, so I don't need to kind of remember every book at the end of the month. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. So stick around. Here comes everything I read in the month of August. Enjoy. The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. This book was incredible. This is a fantasy book, takes place in a fantasy world, very medieval, very like classic high fantasy. There's dragons, there's queens. It's like everything you'd want from a classic high fantasy book, but it's also changing the conventions, making it queer, making it feminist, bringing it to the present day, setting kind of a new standard of what a fantasy book should be. It's huge. This was over 800 pages, but I flew through it. It was so good. The characters in this book were so lovable. I love that this is just one big standalone adventure and not a series like you'd usually see in this kind of genre. But yeah, this was such a great read. I highly recommend The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. If you like sapphic adventures, if you like dragons and mystery and knights and spells and swords and everything you want in a great fantasy book is here, plus more. It's incredible. 5 out of 5. I highly recommend Priory of the Orange Tree. There were so many things about this book that I liked. I really liked how Samantha Shannon kind of plays with form, especially in the first few chapters. The way that we would have the perspective of one character, and then they'd meet another character, and they'd be together for a little bit, and then we'd follow the new character on their journey, and it would kind of switch perspectives seamlessly. It was really impressive. I also liked that, not just that there was like maps and lists of all the characters at the back of the book, which was really helpful, but the world was so well fleshed out. There's political nuances between all these different areas. Samantha Shannon really knows what she's doing with world building. I find it true, especially with her series, The Bone Season. Those books are incredible for world building, and this one lived up to those expectations. I think that the characters were well developed. The story, I found it was a kind of a lot of mini mysteries that resolved themselves pretty quickly. There wasn't really a big overarching thing that it felt like you were working towards. And I think that actually worked in this book's favor because they'd be kind of layered on top of each other. It wasn't like you were going through these 800 pages like, come on, just tell me what the solution is. There would be a problem, and they'd work really hard to solve it as quickly as they could, and it would be resolved within a few chapters, but usually that would lead to more problems coming up, which I think is a really great way to do this kind of adventure, because if it was just one thing that they were working towards for 800 pages, it would take frickin' forever. It would feel so slow. So yeah, Priory of the Orange Tree is great. Read it. I just tried recording this clip outside, but there was a ton of construction going on, so I'm trying again indoors. I have finished reading 2 more books. The first one is The Charm Offensive by Allison Cochrun. This is an advanced copy I got from the publisher Simon & Schuster. It's coming out, I think, in September, so pretty soon. This is a romance, very similar to Red, White, and Royal Blue. This is a gay romance between the producer of a reality dating show and the main subject of the show. Think The Bachelor. It's between The Bachelor and the producer. Anyway, it was fun. It was a really light, fluffy read, which I expected. I enjoyed the plot. It was very plot heavy for a romance, I found. Because it had the structure of this dating show kind of pushing the plot along. I thought that the dating show itself was really funny. It was called Ever After, very Prince Charming themed, which was fun. A little cheesy, but that was the point. I work in the TV industry, so I was kind of looking for a bit of steam in my business, but unfortunately, I found that it wasn't the most accurate in terms of how TV shows are made, but that's fine. It's a fluffy romance novel. I thought that the weakest link for me was how it was formatted. It was really interesting because it had both main characters' points of view, Dev and Charlie, but it was always in the third person, and the characters were together for most of the time. So it would just switch between their points of view in the middle of chapters all the time with a big title of whose head we're in now. But it was always in the third person, so it didn't seem to matter. And it was just it seemed kind of lazy writing. Why do you need to tell us when you're focusing on someone else? We can tell. We know what you're doing. Just trust your writing. But yeah, other than that, I thought it was good. There was great representation. It's certainly not a literary achievement, but it's a fun, fluffy romance novel. I wish it was a bit steamier. There wasn't that much explicit detail, but the writer is an English teacher, so I think there was some nervousness around it falling into the hands of some students, I think. Anyway, that was The Charm Offensive. I think I gave it 3 out of 5. It's a fun read if you're looking for something like that, but it's certainly not going to, I don't know, be your favorite book. Maybe it will. I don't know. Anyway, the next book that I just read here is Blueberries by Ellena Savage. This is a memoir / collection of essays by Ellena Savage, who is an Australian writer. This was really good. It took me a long time to get through. I kept having to take a break and read something else because a lot of these essays are very intellectual. She's definitely an academic. A lot of complex ideas going on here about there was one essay in particular, I think it was the second essay in the book, which is all about the industrialization of post-secondary education, which I really liked the essay. I thought it was really good, but it kind of set the tone for the rest of the book, and I was like, okay, I need to take my time to really absorb this. Definitely very triggering. A lot of discussion around sexual assault in this book. But I thought that the writing was spectacular. I thought that Ellena brought so many great ideas to the table. It gets very meta. There's lots of writing about writing in here, which I don't know about you, but I really enjoy. There's also just so many little ponderings, and the way she kind of strings ideas together is very, very interesting, very poetic. I would recommend getting a physical copy of this book, which usually I don't think it matters, read an audiobook, read an ebook, whatever. But this one, there's so much that she plays around with formatting. Here's just one example. This essay here is written in kind of 2 columns, where she has the actual essay in one half and kind of a running commentary about like her life when she wrote this essay in the other half. And I don't think the formatting would translate very well to an ebook. But other than that, beautiful book, great lyrical prose, very, very beautifully written. Lots to think about in this book. I'm definitely going to come back to it. I already dog-eared a few pages. I'm probably going to go through again with a highlighter someday. But yeah, that is Blueberries by Ellena Savage. I just wanted to do a little update because I don't think this is going to be a very productive reading month. I'm not sure how many more books I'll read. My city, Halifax, has been going through a really rough time this past week. I've witnessed a lot of violence, both from government officials and police brutality. I've witnessed firsthand against people I care about, and it's weighing very heavily on me. So I'm not really reading too much right now, and when I am, it's kind of more for escapism and not so much to read critically. So I'm taking a little break right now. Probably not going to be really posting on Instagram for a little bit. But yeah, that's why there's not really that much more of an update this month. I'm not sure if I'll read more. I do have some more books that I do want to read soon. I'm just not really in the right headspace for that right now. Yeah, just look out for yourself. Look out for those around you. Remember that unhoused neighbors are still your neighbors. And I'll check in again soon. So I took about a week, and I finished 2 more books. The first one I read was Malibu Rising. This was a nice, like, really good escapist novel, I think. It all takes place over the course of one day in Malibu, California. I really enjoyed it. It's about the Rivas family, who are a group of 4 siblings, mainly known for surfing. They're like a famous surfer family, but like one's a photographer, and like there's some other stuff going on too. And they have a very famous father. It's all about kind of them. Taylor Jenkins Reid tends to write a lot about like Hollywood and fame. So this was definitely part of her wheelhouse. I really enjoyed this book. It kind of revolves around a house party that the oldest sister Nina is hosting. And the first half of the book goes back and forth between setting up for the party and backstory. So while it's setting up the party, it's also kind of setting up the party, if you know what I mean, like with all the backstory of the family. And then the second half, everything comes to a head. There's so much drama, so much family conflict. It's just juicy. It was fun. It was a great summer read. So like light and fluffy, but also had some like substance to it. I really enjoyed Malibu Rising. The characters were interesting. I liked the backstory. I actually think I liked the flashback stuff, the backstory in the first half of the book more than the main plot. But I really liked how things all kind of came together at the end as well. Anyway, after that, just today, I read this whole book today, Milk Fed by Melissa Broder. There's been lots of buzz about Melissa Broder in the bookish community. Her other book, The Pisces, has a lot of buzz too. I'm really excited to read it after this one. I don't know too much about So Sad Today, her other book, but The Pisces is kind of her other big one. And then this one, Milk Fed, which, like I said, I read it all today. It was a quick read. The chapters are super short, which I find always helps me like propel through a book so fast. Anyway, Melissa Broder is such an interesting writer. She's so funny. This book is so horny, so explicit, but I loved it. It was so juicy. It's all about Rachel, who is basically going through extremely disordered eating, a lot of issues with body dysmorphia, a lot of it coming from like family pressure. So heavy trigger warning for those things. But the plot is kind of that she meets this woman named Miriam who works at a frozen yogurt shop, and it's kind of about their love affair. Miriam is Orthodox Jew, and it's kind of about those two worlds kind of colliding in interesting ways. Lots of fantastic descriptions, little details in the writing that were so specific and so precise that I thought were so interesting and so well done. This was such a unique book, I thought. It was so cool. Very gay, very sapphic, but yeah, very explicit. Lots of descriptions of lots of sexual fantasies that were very interesting to read, but maybe not something you want to read with someone looking over your shoulder. But yeah, I'm super excited to read more from Melissa Broder. This book actually had a lot of really interesting things to say, specifically about not just pressures and body image and food, but also just kind of about Hollywood in general. Another Hollywood book I know. The main character, Rachel, works in an agency, a talent agency in LA. So there are some interactions with some celebrities in there as well, her kind of managing her talent, as well as she is kind of working as on the side. She does some stand-up comedy. So it's a very fun, very LA book, but I really loved it. It was such a unique story to tell. So I think I'm back into my reading slump is over. We're back into the books. There is what's today. Today's the 25th. So there's 6 days left this month. We'll see how much I can read. I don't think we have anything really planned this weekend except for relaxing. So hopefully that means lots of reading. And I'll check in once I read something else. Y'all, it's been a month. Let me tell ya, August. 2 days left. It's the 29th today. And it's been a month. Yesterday, my car got a flat tire at the very beginning of what was supposed to be a 5-hour road trip. Yeah, that was really great. So I still haven't had time to address that. Fix it. Well, it has been temporarily fixed. There's a donut on there now, a temporary tire. But I can't really drive the car until I go get a new tire and find someone to install it for me. So that's fun. Really great. Loving that. But yeah, other than that, I just finished a book, so I'm going to tell you about it. This is called Without You, There Is No Us by Suki Kim. This is nonfiction. I know I haven't really been reading that much nonfiction this year, but there's so much nonfiction on my list, and I've had such a drought of nonfiction that I want to read some more over the rest of the year, make it more of a priority. So this is an interesting one. This was the pick for this month's Life's Library Book Club. And I've been a member of the Life's Library Book Club since the beginning of the year. They send me a book every 6 weeks. So far this year, they've sent me, I think, 5 books, 4 or 5 books. One of them I had already read, and the other 3 I didn't read. So I figured it was time. I needed to read this one. And this one was actually really interesting. This is all about Suki Kim, who's a journalist. She volunteers as an English teacher in North Korea, and it's all about her experience there. It's marketed strangely. I've been finding this a lot lately with books I read where the blurb on the back, the description of the book, doesn't seem to line up with what the book actually is. This sets it up as if it's all about her being a rebel and teaching the students in North Korea about the Western world, even though she's not supposed to. But that's not what it's about. It also is, she was there when Kim Jong-il died. It was kind of set up as her being there for that like transition of power, but she's not. That happens in the last chapter. She leaves the next day. So that was a bit of a letdown, but I still really enjoyed the book. It was a very interesting look at life in North Korea. She was a teacher to kind of the sons of the political elite there. So it was kind of about her interactions with the upper class. And just her experience. It's basically just a whole lot of anecdotes. It kind of scratches the same itch as if you watch like a time travel show and all of the fun goofiness around like introducing technology and concepts that haven't been invented yet when you go back in time. It's kind of that, but a lot more serious, a lot more depressing. But that's basically what the book is. It's just a lot of anecdotes about her interactions with her students in North Korea. But I thought it was okay. It was a good book. I'd give it a 3 out of 5. I think is where I'm landing with that one. I literally just finished it like 10 minutes ago. But yeah, I don't know really much else to say. Like, I don't know what else to say because, like, really, there's not really much of a plot. It's just, I went to North Korea. Here's what it was like getting into North Korea. Here's what life is like there for me as a teacher. Here's what I am presuming life is like for my students, even though there's a lot of information that can't be kind of passed between them. Yeah, it's an interesting look at like kind of that political world of North Korea and being a Westerner there. Anyway, this was interesting. That is Without You, There Is No Us. I have a couple shorter books that I'm going to try to read in the next 2 days before the end of the month because I've only read, I think, 5 or 6 books this month so far. So I got to pick up the pace if I'm going to match my previous months. I think my lowest month so far this year was 8 books. So I'm going to try to at least match that. But I'm not putting pressure on myself. I'm just trying to have a lazy day today. And what goes better with a lazy day than reading? Anyway, I'll check in a bit if I have more that I finished. I managed to squeeze one more in. I just finished The Life of the Mind by Christine Smallwood. This was an interesting one. Definitely it's a DWM, Depressed Woman Moving, if you know what that is. Shout out to the book hotties. I am still not really sure what I feel about this book. It was really interesting. It's all about this woman named Dorothy. She's like in her late 20s, going through it, very depressed. She's a college professor in New York. She only teaches like 2 classes. It's just a lot of inner thoughts about what she's doing with her life, the future, the past, very retrospective, introspective. The plot kind of revolves around her having a miscarriage and her choice to not tell anyone about it and how that kind of weighs on her. It was interesting. It was super short. It wasn't like, I'm not sure if I liked it or not. I think I liked it. That's, I think, where I'm landing. A lot of the criticism seems to be that it was too introspective, not very much plot, which are things that I don't really mind. I really like an introspective character study. I was a bit thrown off by the choice to make it written in the third person. So it feels very intrusive, which I think is kind of the point. It's very voyeuristic. It's this third-person narrator describing all of Dorothy's thoughts and actions. So it feels like you're spying on her. And it's really kind of bizarre, and that's the only thing that really threw me through a loop. But yeah, other than that, I'm happy with the lack of plot. I still enjoyed the book. I read through it really quickly, like I said. It's an interesting one. Definitely, if you're into books about depressed women living in the city, thinking about their life, I know there's kind of a lot of those out there, but I really enjoyed this one. I think I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Anyway, I think that's it for this month. I can't remember how many books that was. I think 7? Tomorrow is the last day of August. I don't think I'm going to finish anything before the end of the day tomorrow, so I'm probably just going to start editing this video now. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned. I think I'm going to film a reading vlog this weekend. And yeah, I'll see you real soon. Work is about to get really busy for me over the next few weeks. So I'm not sure how many books I'm actually going to be able to read in September, but there's a lot of new releases that I'm really excited about. The new Sally Rooney is coming out in a couple days. Very excited for that one. And a few others as well as like a whole bunch of books that I've bought or taken from the library that I'm excited to read too. So there's a lot coming. Stay tuned. Hopefully next month isn't as depressing. I'm going to throw myself into work. I'm going to need some escape, read some books. It's going to be good. Just watch, I promise. So don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and I'll see you in the next video. Let me know what your favorite book this month was, and I'll see you next time.